I am fairly confident that this is the only Famicom game to have a photo of a person in blackface on the cover. I know, different cultural context and all that, but it's still a person in blackface. They break out a few other racist stereotypes through this as well. Setting that aside, Bakushou Star Monomane Shitennou is some grade A kusoge. As far as I can tell, it was the worst reviewed game of 1990. The concept here is that it's a showdown between four Impressionists: Akira Shimizu, Kanichi Kurita, Koroke, and Busy 4. They comprise the four heavenly kings of Impressionists. Now you might be asking yourself, if there's four heavenly kings, why are there 5 people? Well, that's because Busy 4 is actually a band, not a person. This is a roll and move board game, where you move around a square board, stop at colored properties, acquire them, and run the risk of going bankrupt if you don't accumulate enough. Now this might make you think that this game plays like Monopoly, and it definitely does not. Let's start with the rolling and moving. The roll is just the maximum distance that you can move. You're allowed to stop at any square before that. And you're definitely going to want to do that because it's to your advantage to stop at every square where you can perform. There are 2 common types of squares, 4 corner squares that have nothing, and 3 special event squares. The most common type of square is a celebrity's house. But you can't just stop at any celebrity's house. You initially have to stop at the houses that match your color. Then you can perform an impression for the person there, and if they're happy with it, which they will be, then you're allowed to perform an impression of that person. The way that the impressions work is that you start with 2 that are just generic, and so you'll have to pick up additional impressions from those houses. You can also perform more than 1 impression by hitting right and left, though they have to be in consecutive order on your list. After a certain point in the game, your first 2 impressions become unavailable, and after that, if you can't perform an impression, then you go bankrupt. What can prevent you from performing an impression? Well, first, you could put the celebrity that you're impersonating in a bad mood. Every time you do the impression, their mood decreases a little bit, and certain random events can affect that mood as well. Second, after you've acquired that impression, another person can land on that square and perform for that celebrity, and then they'll just take away your ability to perform. Doing this requires that you have more fans in that region than the other person, so you can recover that celebrity by building up your fans there, and then meeting with them again. How do you get fans? Well, the middle building in every region is a stage, and there you can go out to perform to build up a fan base. These degrade naturally over time, but they can also be stolen from you by certain events, or if you're really lucky, built up by random events. Because after you land at a celebrity home or a stage square, and then possibly do an action there, you roll 2 dice to determine what special event occurs. And these can move you around the board, give you some additional fans, change your status with a celebrity, cause you to lose a turn, and if you roll a C on the first die, then you can engage in an action game. These games are always one-on-one affairs against one of the other players, and whoever wins the competition steals a bunch of fans from the other player. These action segments do not control well, and they're highly random. Even once you know how they work, which you won't know the first time you try it, it's basically random chance whether or not you succeed. So basically it's a lot like the rest of the game. The special event squares are where the real magic happens. The first is that a TV truck may park at one of those stages in a neighborhood. If you stop there, then all of the comedians take part in a showdown that will take all the fans in that region. It's done tournament style with brackets, and you choose your impression, and then choose what you're going to do with that impression. You're trying to impress a panel of judges, and when you're doing the impression, you can choose to sing, make fun of the person that you're impersonating, or tell a nasty joke about the person you're impersonating. The panel of judges love the jokes, but the celebrities hate them, and those will lower their moods rather sharply. This showdown's actually based on a real-life television show, Monomane Ozakate-sen, which is an impressionist competition that occurs a few times a year. Going to the Tokyo Dome is also a special event. There you hold your own imitation concert, and these will strengthen the popularity of the imitations that you perform there. However, once you go to the Tokyo Dome, you lose those initial 2 free impressions that you have. The other special event is that you can perform for Noriko Awaya. In her youth she was a singer, but by the 1980s she was best known for being a celebrity panelist. In particular, a judge on Monomane Oza Kateisen. She was known for being the harshest of the judges, and so one of the ways to end the game is to impress her. Those boxes at the bottom of the screen indicate her mood, and every time you perform for her, you improve it a little bit. If you can make all 4 boxes smile, then the game ends there. The other way the game ends is if someone goes bankrupt. At that point, you just evaluate who has the most fans. Well, there is one more way to end the game, but you have to be playing with multiple human players. Then you can hit Start and Select, and that just stops the game dead. When you start up Bakushou Star Monomane Shitennou, there are a lot of options. You can assign every player to be human, computer, or not in the game, and then you can set the game speed, the length of the game, and if you want people to be able to go bankrupt, or you can turn off those action mini-games. So in case you couldn't tell already, this game's a slog. It's also yet another Japanese board game whose outcome is effectively random. There is some minor strategy you can apply here, so there's more to it than some of the other board games we're going to see, but you could be wiped out in an instant just by rolling the dice poorly. And even if you get the 30-year-old impressions, they all repeat a lot. You'll be tired of them long before you're finished with a single game. This is some real bottom-tier stuff on the Famicom. Just keep away.